when the Americans approved the Pfizer flu shot, one knew that they were not serious in prosecuting Fauci. And then how can one trust politicians, particularly American politicians? We have Trump saying that the Americans have won the Iran war 40 times already, despite everyone knowing that the Americans are losing and losing badly. We have a similar situation in India. You cannot trust politicians. You must not trust politicians by and large. Now, I am saying this because there is something called the emergency use authorization. Let me clarify on this. The EUA is given to a product when a health emergency is perceived and there is no alternative treatment available. This means that one believes that the new product can be effective and does not have very serious side effects, and also that there is no other medicine available which is capable of tackling the problem. Now, the EUA was given to the COVID vaccines in America in December of 2020. Keep this date in mind. December 2020, both Pfizer and Moderna were given the EUA certificates. Now, they were given the EUA certificates knowing very well that there was a strong potential of treating the SARS virus, of treating the COVID virus. We already had a paper published in 2005 which told us clearly that the SARS virus could be tackled by chloroquine. We also knew in 2014 that chloroquine could act as an ionophore with zinc in tackling SARS viruses. Now, why is zinc important? Zinc is important because zinc damages an enzyme called the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, or RDRP. Now, when you damage this enzyme, the virus is not capable of multiplying or replicating. The virus dies. And zinc is one molecule which can do this. But zinc finds it difficult to penetrate the cell. So therefore, you have what is called an ionophore. And it is well known that apart from other ionophores, chloroquine and ivermectin both function as ionophores. So therefore, if you give a zinc with the chloroquine, then chloroquine by itself can kill the SARS virus, and it can also push in zinc to kill the RNA virus. The situation is the same with ivermectin. Ivermectin directly kills the virus, kills the COVID virus, and it can also function as an ionophore and push in zinc to kill the virus again. Now, this was known right from 2005. We had this paper of chloroquine attacking the SARS virus. We had a paper in 2014 wherein it was found that chloroquine could function as an ionophore. We had a paper published in May 2020 wherein it was shown by the Australians that ivermectin could directly attack the virus. It could directly attack the protein called importin, which was important for the transport of the SARS virus. Now, despite knowing that there were ionophores, that there was chloroquine, there was ivermectin, which were effective against the COVID virus, yet the Americans permitted these two companies to manufacture vaccines, and that too at a warp speed. And at that point of time, all these senators, all these politicians did not utter a word. They did not express any agitation of the slightest kind in informing the public or in attacking the government as to why did the government give this EUA to these two companies. Now here, there is a very important point that I have to make. Way back in 2010, that is 16 years ago, Ralph Baric had published a paper, not directly, but he was one of the authors of a paper published in PLOS, that is the Public Library of Science. This was in 2010, as early as that, wherein they had shown that zinc could attack RNA viruses such as the flu virus and the SARS virus. This is very important to keep in mind. And again, in 2016, Ralph Baric had published a paper in the, I think, the American Academy of Medical Sciences. And I will give the links to all these papers so that you don't feel that I am misleading you in the slightest manner. Now, this paper in 2016, Ralph Baric presented an artificially created chimera, of the SARS virus that could attack human lung tissue. Now, this was there, and in the footnote of this paper, the authors concede that this study was done despite the fact that there was a suspension on such studies. There was a moratorium against the gain of function tests, gain of function studies, but yet the Americans did the study, and in particular, Ralph Baric did this in the University of North Carolina. And why is Ralph Baric important? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the SARS virus, the COVID virus, was definitely manufactured by the Americans. It was designed and created in America in the University of North Carolina by this very capable virologist, Ralph Baric. Today, Ralph Baric has retired and his funds have been suspended, his research funds have been stopped. But the fact remains that Ralph Baric himself had talked about zinc being an antidote to the SARS virus, and this probably was because he was working on the virus. He was working on the virus, he was making it more toxic, he was making it more lethal, and 6 years down the line, he publishes a paper in which he presents a new chimera, an artificially created virus which could attack human lung tissue. So there we have it. So now if people start screaming about Fauci's diaries, or these people who are pleading guilty in frauding the American government and the American public, one has to take this not with a pinch of salt, but with kilos of salt. This is all a smokescreen. This is all misleading the public. Ultimately, I don't think anything will happen to Tony Fauci. I don't think Trump will allow any prosecution of Tony Fauci, because if Trump permits the prosecution of Tony Fauci, then Trump admits, which is near impossible, he admits that when he made the decision of giving EUA to these vaccines and directed these companies to make these COVID vaccines at warp speed, he had made a horrible decision, which